Hi everyone, my name is Glenn Bartley and welcome to another video blog. This time I'm coming to you from the beautiful country of Panama, where for the next 3 weeks I'll be searching for some of the rarest and most beautiful birds down here. So thanks for watching, let's get after some birds. Well, it's just my first morning here in Panama and already nailed a great shot of my #1 target for the trip, which is the black-crowned antpida. For me, one of the most beautiful antpidas. And after spending the whole morning kind of listening for it, searching around, and trying to find the right spot to actually photograph it, because it's so dense, you can maybe see in behind me what the vegetation looks like. It's very dense. And so you don't always have an opportunity to get a window to actually photograph the bird. But I was able to find a little window and he hopped up on this nice little mossy perch. I got like 2 shots. He took off. That's all you need, just one. So that's a great start to the trip. I'm super excited. All right, second project for the morning is the white-tipped sicklebill. My guide here knows where there's a flower that he likes to frequent, but this is a boring waiting game now because literally these birds are trapline feeders. They fly around the forest trying to find different heliconias to feed at, and he might come back here every half hour, who knows? Hopefully he'll show up, and then it'll be time for lunch. Well, it's another beautiful day here in Panama. It's my second day here. Yesterday I had a great day. Started off with amazing results with the black-crowned antpida, which was my most wanted bird for the trip. So you can't start a trip better than that. Tried for the white-tipped sicklebill for a while. Mediocre success. This morning decided to try for the rosy thrush tanager, which is a really cool bird, quite a skulky, kind of challenging bird to photograph. I'd never seen one before. And sure enough, again, first thing this morning, found a pair working around in here. So I'm trying to get some good shots that I'll hopefully be able to show you in a minute. With these skulky birds, you really have to pay attention to their behavior. How are they responding? How are they moving? Where are they perching? And trying to synthesize all that information is what makes a good field photographer and what is going to give you the success. So you really have to pay attention to what they're doing. Maybe you can hear the thrush tanager calling right over there right now. Anyways, I'm going to get back to it. And hopefully I'll be able to show you a great shot of the rosy thrush tanager in just a minute. Well, overall, a pretty successful morning. Had got some pretty good shots of that rosy thrush tanager, which was great. And golden collared manakin and cocoa wood creeper, so not bad. I'm going to go now continue the vigil for the white-tipped sicklebill, because I got a bunch of shots yesterday, all of them with his bill completely in the flower, which when you're trying to photograph a hummingbird with a unique bill and you can't see its bill is not great. So I'm gonna go and stake that out for another few hours here before lunch and we'll see what we get. So wish me luck. All right, so I'm out here still trying to work away this morning, and what I wanted to just talk about is when you're in the tropics or wherever and the light starts to get high, a lot of people just keep trying to shoot in that light, and it's a total waste of time. You're never going to get good photos shooting in harsh, tropical, or otherwise sunlight. The only option you have when the light gets so high, and a trick that I always like to use, is to basically look at my shadow. So if we look down, I don't know if you can see that. If the shadow gets shorter than you are tall, the light is no good anymore. You have to try to find a way to shoot in a shaded or under a tree, somewhere where you can get flat, even light. It's going to be way darker, but shooting in harsh sunlight is a waste of time. So I've found a little area over here where there's some mossy branches, and I've been trying to call in this plain xenops to see if he'll land somewhere in this shaded area where I can kind of control where the bird goes. That's really the only option you have. Or go grab a Coke and find a hammock and have a siesta. So I've probably spent about 6 hours at this point waiting for this sicklebill to come. You can see the heliconia flower right there. And there's just one flower. And the bird comes about once every 45 minutes to an hour for about 15 seconds. Usually he puts his bill directly into the flower, or he's fluttering so fast that with the low shutter speeds, I can't get a flight shot here. So I have to just hope that he kind of pulls back just for a second so that I can actually see the bill. Because if I can't see the bill, it's not really a very interesting photo, is it? So I'm gonna keep waiting for 1 or 2 more visits. That's, I think, all I have in me, and hopefully I'll get this guy. All right, so this afternoon's project, or one of them, I'm just on this trail here, this kind of wide open trail, and I've found a golden collared manakin lek. Now, if you don't know what a lek is, it's where a whole bunch of a certain species of birds, the males, get together and do some kind of display to try to attract the ladies. So these guys do a really cool little jump. They'll snap their wings, but they'll also do this cool little jump on the branch. I'll see if I can get a video of it, but photos are the priority. So it should be a fun little project for the next little while. All right, guys, I'm here at my second site here in Panama now, which is a very different site than where I just was. This place is awesome. It has this amazing tower, which I'll show you in a minute. And so many birds come right up to the level of the tower, and monkeys and all kinds of things. But this afternoon, when I first got here, usually activity in towers is not great mid-afternoon. You want to be there early in the morning or late in the afternoon. So I decided to go for a little walk down the road here, and I've already had some great results. Might rain on me. Found a red-capped manakin, beautiful bird, so cool, and white-whiskered puffbird, and then just now a pair of song wrens. So just a really awesome start to my second destination. So how awesome is this? I'm up on top of this canopy tower, first thing in the morning. Birds are just waking up, starting to call all around me. The sun's coming up. The mist is clearing. Should be a good morning. What an amazing place to be here. It's always a special treat to get to be up in the canopy, to get up to the level where the birds are at. And yeah, we'll see. Hopefully a few birds will come in close to some of these trees and be able to nail some good shots. Wow, what an awesome morning up here in the canopy tower. Got up here super early before the light was really good, and perfect weather for being in a canopy tower. Nice and cloudy. There's rain coming right now, so I'm gonna get out of here, but just an amazing morning. We had cinnamon woodpecker, black-breasted puffbird, green shrike vireo, and a ton of other things. Here comes the rain. I think it's time to get out of here. All right, so I'm just hanging out here now in the parking lot because there's hummingbird feeders out here, and there's a bunch of these verbena bushes. Now, the hummingbird that I'm after is actually the blue-chested hummingbird. There's a bunch of Jacobins here. I don't really care about them. The blue-chested only seems to visit the verbena bushes, and the key for this is to try to figure out which ones they're feeding at and sort of stake out where they might come, because they might only come every 5 or 10 minutes to feed, and then just hope you can get focus on the right flower and the typical spray and pray technique. But yeah, I'm gonna hang out here for, I don't know, maybe an hour and see if I can get a really good shot of this guy. All right, this afternoon I'm here on the world famous Pipeline Road. It's an amazing place. It's just amazing primary rainforest, no vehicle traffic whatsoever, and just, beautiful, amazing habitat, and hopefully lots of birds. Just stopped, we're driving along there, walking in, and saw some antbirds on the side of the road. And sure enough, there was a nice little ant swarm with bicolored antbirds, spotted antbirds, and even one ocellated antbird that was kind of hiding in the back. Didn't get great shots, got something, but a good start anyways to my time here on Pipeline Road. I'm gonna keep coming back here. I have several days to visit this area, and hopefully eventually I'll hit the right ant swarm with some nice ocellateds. Anyways, time to get back to work. Wish me luck. Show you what the Pipeline Road habitat looks like here. So that's what it looks like. It's just dense foliage. You can imagine trying to photograph birds in there. It's not that easy. It's pretty much all thick, dense rainforest. You gotta love monkeys. These howler monkeys are just going nuts up here. It's just such a cool noise. I don't know what to say. So awesome. Just encountered an ant swarm here, and there was a couple of adult ocellated antbirds attending it. And then, of course, right when you find the bird you're looking for, it starts pouring rain. The birds are still over here. There's tons of ants, so I'm really hoping that the weather is going to let up. It's very difficult. You can kind of get a sense of the habitat, but you just have to kind of plunk yourself wherever the ants are and wait, and usually the birds kind of jump over, look for something to eat, grab it, and then fly off. And if you're patient and if you just put in the time, then hopefully the bird will cooperate. Let's find out. So this is what it looks like, kind of crawling through the jungle here, trying to get close to these army ants and the birds that are at them, but you of course are trying to constantly duck under things. You know, anywhere you look, basically there's ants, which is fine, but it's pretty tricky terrain to navigate to try to get close. And this is actually pretty open. Oh man, I'm a sweaty mess. It is really hard work weaving your way through the vines, the palm fronds, the leaves, watching out for snakes, trying to find where these antbirds are because they're moving all over the place. But with patience, you know, every once in a while one pops up. So check it out. I just got this spotted antbird. I don't know if you can see that. But like every once in a while, you get an opportunity where one jumps out in the open and you're there and you can nail a shot. So I'm going to keep trying, and I'm probably going to have to go drink some water. Wow, what a morning here on Pipeline Road. Started out kind of slow, but then once we found that ant swarm, man, that was some serious neotropical photography right there. Right in there, just sweating like a maniac. But in the end, got some great shots of the ocellated antbird, bicolored antbird, spotted antbird, white-whiskered puffbird, scaly-throated leaf tosser. It was awesome. Alright, so I've made it to my next location, which is down in the far south region of Panama, close to the border of Colombia, which is an area called the Darien. It's a place I've always wanted to come. It's a really cool area. Maybe people don't know, you actually can't drive from Panama to Colombia. There's no roads that cross this vast tract of mostly primary rainforest, and it's a really special place. There's lots of unique birds that come here. So I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for the gray-cheeked nunlet, for the black oropendola, maybe even a harpy eagle. There's a bunch of really cool stuff. So I'm gonna go get my gear and get started. What an awesome start to the day down here in the Darien. I came down this one road with my guide here, and he knew a perfect spot for the black oropendola. It was way across the river, came right down on a nice branch. It's been a target of mine for a while, so super stoked to start the day with that. Sun's coming out, so we'll see how much time we have to work here, but gonna try to target a few more Darien specialties here, and we'll see what we can get. It's always a good idea to stake out these verbena bushes with these small little purple flowers. These things are a magnet for hummingbirds. Basically any lodges that have tons of these around, you're going to have hummingbirds, and if you stake them out for long enough, you can definitely get some great shots. So I'm here at my lodge now, down in the Darien, and it's midday, it's kind of sunny, there's not a lot of bird activity going on. It's tempting to just go have a nap, of course, and you know, sometimes you do that as well. But what's a good idea always when you first get to a site is to assess sort of what's the feeder situation. Here, there were some hummingbird feeders, and you can see I've kind of staged some stuff here. So I've set up some heliconias that the pale-bellied hermit might visit, some different ones here they might land on, a bunch of branches all around, because there really wasn't much for them to land on. So I've made a little stage here, and hopefully later in the day, there's not a ton of birds right now, but hummingbird activity always peaks late in the day when they really want to feed up before going to bed. So hopefully later this afternoon, if I camp myself out here, I'll be able to get some cool shots. Let's go take a look at the fruit feeders. Okay, so this is where they've got a little fruit feeder set up. And again, there wasn't really much for things to land on. So I've set up a few branches here. Now these were actually set up yesterday, so the leaves are looking a bit past their prime now, but you get the idea. a nice branch here. A lot of Oropendolas coming in, so you can imagine them landing like right here or sneaking underneath here on their way down to the bananas. And then also up there we had some nice leaves where birds could land on their way into the feeder. So with just, 15 minutes of effort, all of a sudden you can get a much more natural looking photo and yeah, hopefully get some great shots. Apparently the tamarins like my feeder setup too. That is a bullet ant. You do not want to get bit by a bullet ant. I would like to put my finger here for reference, but I don't want them to bite me. But they're big and they're nasty. Alright, so after some time down in the Darien, which was an awesome experience, I'm back now on basically the Pipeline Road, the Gamboa area, and I'm looking for, some very specific target birds now, which of course makes life difficult. You're not just looking for any old bird in the forest, you're looking for specific ones, and some of them are pretty rare. So to be honest, I've been kind of at it all morning. I was trying for the rosy thrush tanager, and I had one right away that was calling in this bush, like the world's thickest bush, wouldn't come out. I could see the bird, but there's no chance for a photo. So that was a nice waste of an hour. And then, yeah, I've just been walking around and trying to find stuff. The only thing I've really found this morning so far was a couple of little ant wrens, which was nice because they are very difficult to photograph and they were foraging pretty low. So that was kind of cool. But to be honest, it's been a bit of a slow morning. I'm just kind of wandering, listening, looking, watching. But I think it's almost time for a nice cold Coca-Cola. These guys are having a productive day. Pretty amazing, these leaf cutter ants. Carrying these giant chunks of leaves, basically digging a hole in the path here. They're just working away. Well, no trip to Panama would be complete without stopping by the Panama Canal. You can see it behind me. There's a big boat going by. There's another one up there. They go by like clockwork. This place is busy, but pretty cool to see this amazing feat of engineering in action. Wow, what an awesome morning here in Panama. I've come down here into the sort of foothills from my highland area to this wonderful place that has amazing feeders. It's literally been one of those days where the problem is too many birds. They're everywhere. There are hummingbirds, there's manakins, there's tanagers, there's arasaris, there's oropendolas. They're all coming in to eat at the feeder. And it's hard to try to decide what to focus on because obviously there's a huge difference in size, different lenses you need, trying to line up good backgrounds and trying to make sure you get some really great shots. But I thought I'd show you a few things just about setting up a good feeder. When I arrive at a site, I always try to quickly set up a good feeder that has, natural looking perches, but also thinking about how the birds are going to land on the perch, how they're going to come down to the food, so that you have more time with them before they get to the fruit, because eventually they're going to get there, and you don't want photos that have the fruit or, the zap straps in them. So let me just show you here quickly what we've done. I've got my little tripod here, and we're putting the food right in the middle, and we've given them landing zones to land and work their way down. On this side, we've got a much larger landing zone. The birds can work their way down the perch. They can land here, but ultimately they have to land and then come towards the food. And as they land or as they're waiting their turn, that's when you get great shots. So if you're somewhere where you can set up a feeder, maybe even your backyard, definitely think about the placement of the branches, the placement of the food, and how that can allow you to get better shots. So the birds are definitely coming in to the feeder. The problem is we have these chachalacas, which also like bananas, and when they come in, there's a whole bunch of them, and they just swarm the feeder and chase everything away. So right now we have a problem of chachalaca management. That's what's going on. So as much as I love a good feeder setup, which is what I've been kind of working on this morning so far, I actually prefer more natural looking photos. It's obviously harder, you have to find the right opportunity, you have to wait longer, you have to take more frames to get a good one. But right now, in this little tree here behind me, there's all kinds of tiny little fruits, and there are a ton of birds coming to them. There's tanagers, there's euphonias, there's Baltimore orioles, there's barbets, there's mannequins, all coming in to feed here. So I'm going to probably camp out here for a while and see if any come out to the edge and really pose up nicely for some great natural looking photos. Well, I've been hiking around for most of the morning up in the highlands here. Beautiful forest. I love this elevation, just these beautiful trees covered in moss, bromeliads, epiphytes, and some really good birds up here that I've been looking for. I hiked up to the Sendero de los Quetzales, which is trail of the quetzals. And in fact, I did hear and see a quetzal, but really I was after different birds. I was after birds like the flame-throated warbler, which I saw but have not been able to get my lens on yet. Silvery-throated jay, did not see. The best photos I probably got this morning was of ruddy tree runner and a striped-cheeked warbler. So not too bad considering the weather was pretty inclement and I had to hike way up to the actual trailhead. And then when I got there, it was actually closed, COVID. Anyways, my legs are going to be sore tomorrow, and I think it's time for a nice cup of coffee. So I'm sure a lot of you know that Panama certainly grows coffee, but I didn't know, maybe you don't know, that the world's most expensive coffee comes from Panama. There's a variety known as geisha, which grows up in these highlands where I am now, and in a recent coffee auction, a pound of this coffee sold for over $1,000 US. That is ridiculous. Now, I'm about to sample some geisha coffee. It is not from the famous farm where the $1,000 came from, but let's see. It's good. So today I'm up in an even higher area of cloud forest than I was yesterday, looking for some different birds. So I've come up here. Now, unfortunately, what's been frustrating this morning is that there's quite a loud river right near where I am. And it makes it extremely difficult to find the birds because, people who are just starting out may not know this, but to be honest, I find birds probably 80% of the time with my ear, hearing them first. And it's when you take that sense away, it just makes life so much more difficult. So I've kind of walked away from the river, trying to hope that I'll hit a flock or find something here. But whenever there's a river near where you're birding, or a highway or something that just muffles the sound, it just makes it so much more difficult to find things. Oh man, that was super exciting. I've been walking around all morning up here in the highlands and I've been getting really frustrated because I can't hear anything. The river is beautiful, but it's too noisy! I decided to go for a little bit of a trek. I had to cross the river to get over to where I am now, and I've been looking for the Wrenthrush or the Zeladonia. Almost impossible to hear it with the river. I came across this area and I found an area where there was some bamboo, and I know that they like bamboo. And sure enough, I found the bird. I set up, kind of hid myself because they're very shy, and man, jumped right up on my little perch that I'd put there, and man, it's awesome. So I'm up here in my little cloud forest retreat, and as you might be able to hear, it's raining. There's nothing to do outside. And every time you go on a trip, you're going to have some days like this where you really just can't be out productive in the field shooting. But you still can be productive at the computer. So for me, I always try to get everything downloaded and to cull through all my photos and rename all my photos so that when I get home, I don't have, 20, 30,000 photos to go through, which this trip, I've probably shot 25,000 photos so far. And what I have on my computer right now is like 600. So I'm constantly trying to delete the bad ones, keep the good ones, and get them renamed so that by the time I get home, I have just my best shots. Now, how do I do that? I really like this program called Breeze Browser. It's very fast to load the files and to go through them, and it's also excellent for batch renaming. If you're on a Mac, you're not going to be able to get Breeze Browser, but apparently I've just learned there's a good free program called, I believe it's called Fast Raw Viewer. And so that might be something to worth looking into. But I find that so many people just enjoy taking the pictures so much, but they don't really want to do the computer work and go through them and pick the best ones, get rid of the bad ones. And really that's a critical step of the editing workflow, getting rid of all those bad photos, polishing up only your best work and presenting your best images, because otherwise, what's the point of just editing random photos that may or may not be your best work? I'm going to get back to it. Next time you're out there, make sure you do your work in the field. So I was out shooting this morning, and that's not supposed to happen. Tripod leg fell off, so I'm gonna have to fix it, which is not too big of a deal, I don't think, because I always have this little kind of odds and ends kit, and in it I have a 2-part epoxy. This is something you want to have in your travel kit. When things break, epoxy is amazing. So hopefully this is going to work, and I'll be back in action. All right, so after spending a really nice 6 days up in the Highlands, today I drove all the way back down here to the sort of canal zone to Gamboa. About a 7-hour drive, so definitely a bit tired from that. So I just stopped on this little trail here to see if I could find anything. So far it's been pretty quiet. I saw one kind of like half active ant swarm, but it was up the hill and it just wasn't worth trekking up there to try to photograph anything. I didn't have the energy for that. But you know, I'm just gonna wander around to see if I can't come across at least one bird to photograph. Try to make it not a total shutout for today, but you know, sometimes the travel days, it just is what it is. You can't get much. So we'll see what happens. All right, well, that was fun. Just had a nice little session with a streak-chested antpitta. Now, one of the things I wanted to mention after that experience was how important it is to not only, of course, try to know some of the calls and continue to expand your sort of bird vocabulary, but that can be really hard to do from home. So what I would recommend is trying to get to know the birds visually by studying your field guide while you're at home. And then once you're on site, you're trying to expand your vocabulary of the bird sounds in the new place that you're visiting. So I had heard this bird several times, didn't know what it was, and then I learned what it was. And then this morning, since I heard it and I now knew it, I was able to photograph it. So hopefully that makes sense. As you're on a trip, you want to try to constantly be learning and learning the bird's calls, and that will lead to great shots. All right, so yesterday when I was in this area, I saw an American pygmy kingfisher feeding at this little pond that's just in front of me. I didn't get the shot yesterday. The bird was there. It kind of grabbed a minnow and took off. But I have a good feeling that if I put in some time here this afternoon, the bird will come back. This perfect little pond for it to feed at. And this is bird photography. Sometimes you have to put the time in. You have to wait. You have to be patient. You get bored. But I have a good feeling this bird is going to come back. So I'm going to wait here as long as it takes. One of the things people often don't realize is how dark it is in the tropical rainforest. I'm here in the morning. It's like just after 7. And I'm trying to photograph this black-faced ant thrush. It's a ground little bird that's walking around in this like actually quite open area for a tropical rainforest. What are my settings, you ask? ISO 25,600, f4, 1/125th of a second. It's dark, but there's no option. Like, you could lower your ISO and get a blurry shot. The only way to get a reasonable frame of this bird is to hope that he walks along. You can hear him calling over there. Hope he walks along and pauses momentarily, and then you just blast away the old spray and pray. And maybe one of those frames will be reasonably sharp. Now, I'm kind of doing this as a test because this R5 is so amazing at high ISO, and I want to see what I can pull out of a 25,600 ISO file, putting it through DxO Pure Raw, maybe using Topaz Denoise AI as well, and see if we can still come up with a usable result. Let's find out. Alright guys, well I'm back here today on, birds are interrupting me, back here today on Pipeline Road, which is one of the main reasons why I wanted to come to Panama, to be able to bird this wonderful open road through primary rainforest. And I'm going to spend the morning looking for birds again. It's actually my last day in Panama. It's been an awesome trip. Been chasing some pretty hard birds and have had some pretty good success. Let's talk a little bit about the gear that I'm using. Now, most people know 600mm f4, Canon R5, nice sturdy Gitzo tripod, Wimberley gimbal head. I've got these beautiful Swarovski NL Pure binoculars, which I'm using a cotton carrier to hold, and I've got this sort of strap, so if I'm shooting something, I can just drop my binoculars and get back to my camera. So I click that in there, and then that's that. And of course, you guys know, if you know, you know. And in here I've got my teleconverter, extra batteries, extra memory cards, got some toilet paper just in case I need it. I've got bug repellent, and I've got a bit of water. In my backpack I've got a few other things, rain jacket, a little umbrella, some things like that. But anyways, that's basically the field gear that I'm carrying. And with that said, I guess it's time to get after it. I'll see you later.